So I started out with an example of me using manipulatives with my students on open sentences because I think it's important that we realize that we can use manipulatives for almost every single math standard there is and throughout the grade levels. So even more abstract, complicated standards can be made easier when you use manipulatives.
We're going to try to find out for our basket variable.
Away 4.
So we're taking away 4. Why are we taking away 4?
Because it says 3. 4, and then the
There's already 4 apples. So how much is the basket worth?
3.
Exactly. Okay.
So this day we were working on the difference between
I do
area
find that some
and
of my
volume.
students still
I
need
noticed
to
that
go
kids
back
have
to
a really
some
hard
of
time
the
visualizing
manipulatives,
that, and I think
area
that this
is
is really
two
helpful
dimensions
because
and
it
volume is
allows
three
them
dimensions.
to
So I was
again
trying to
visualize
use
what they're
this as a way
doing,
for
and it
them
makes
to
it
visualize
less
that difference.
abstract.
Length times
So
width.
it's okay if some of your
So I
kids
have
still
here,
need
what's
to
my
go
length?
back
How long
and
do I have?
continue to use the manipulatives, because the worst thing you can do is take them off of the manipulative
5.
before they're ready.
Okay. And what about the other row?
7
7. So what's 5 times 7?
is 35.
35. And how many dimensions do I have here? Length times width. So how many dimensions do I have?
5 and 6.
So we have 35. So when we're doing our unit, we're talking about inches because my foam cubes are inches. And we have length times width. So how many dimensions do we have?
We have 2.
So we're going to square it. So today what we're going to talk about is volume. Now when we talk about volume, we just add one more dimension. So volume equals length times width times height. So I'm going to add my height to this because I can see that my box is not completely full right now. My area, my length and width are going to stay the same.
Yeah.
5.
Correct.
And then how much is my width?
7.
So that's still 7. So I'm adding another row. So what is my height for this?
Your height is like this is the height right here.
That's you already did that. That's my width. What's my height? You have one row here and one row there. So what's my height?
2.
2. So I know that 5 times 7 is 35 times 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 70. And we have inches. How many dimensions do we have now?
3.
3. So I'm going to cube it. So what I want you to do is I want you to count to see if there are 70 cubes in this box. So who can tell me what our array is right now?
15 times 4.
15 times 4, exactly.
That's like 90 or something.
So on the top, we're going to write 15 times 4 equals question mark. So when we're using the distributive property, I always like to break my numbers into friendly numbers. What is a friendly number that you could use to break 15 into? 5 plus
10.
So I'm going to count out 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to cut it.
I always try to start a new unit with using manipulatives because I think it really helps my kids visualize the math concept that they're doing, and that oftentimes when we jump right to the numbers, they have a really hard time. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write my 2 new problems. I have 1, 2, 4 times 5 plus 4 times what, Anastasia? 10. Okay. So, what is 4 times 5, Lillian?
4 times 5 is 50. No, wait. 4. That's 10 times. 4 times 5 is 20.
Okay. Plus, Stephen, what's 4 times 10?
40.
40. So now I have 20 plus 40. So what is my answer going to be?
60.
So now using distributive property, I know that 15 times 4 equals 60.
Yay.